Hi! You're watching this video because you want to embark on your career in game audio. And that's great! So, without further ado, here's 3 things you can do today to get started in game audio. If you're looking to work in game audio, it's important to have something online to show for what you can do. Make sure that you put your music, your sound effects, your voiceover work online. If you don't have something to show right now for what you can do, then make something. If anything, you could take a scene from a video game and replace the sound effects and music with your own work. Whatever it is, just make sure you have something online to show for what you can do. Why would you want to put your audio online? Well, you're going to have to talk to developers. I'll explain that more in my next point. But when you're talking to a developer and you tell them that you make audio, they're most likely going to want to hear your work. Having an online portfolio with your work in it is the most convenient way for somebody to hear what you can do. So, go ahead and make an online portfolio. You might feel like making a website is going to be terribly difficult. Perhaps you don't know how to make a website, or you feel like the process will take too long. Well, thankfully, in this day and age, it's easier than ever to make a website. You can use something such as Wix.com and make a website really, really quickly, really easily. I mean, you see all the ads here on YouTube. Whatever it is, just make sure you get your work online. Even something such as SoundCloud or YouTube can suffice for the time being, but you just have to have your work online in some capacity if you plan to start meeting developers. So anyway, that's going to bring me to my next point. So a few years ago, I was really gung-ho about getting started in game audio. I put my music online for everyone to hear, and then I just kind of sat back and wondered why nobody was listening to my music. I mean, what was I missing? Community. I wasn't interacting with the game development community in any meaningful way. After all, if you don't speak with anyone, then no one's going to listen to your music. And it's not just finding members of the game development community and shoving your work in their face. You need to become a member of the game development community yourself. So in the second point, I'll teach you how to find a game development community and how to build a rapport within it. Thanks to the internet, finding game development communities is now easier than ever. After hearing about the IGDA, or International Game Developers Association, I went on Facebook and decided to just look up local chapters of the IGDA. So I searched IGDA NJ, IGDA NYC. Then I tried a couple other search terms such as NYC Games, NYC Game Developers, stuff along those lines. But my searches led me to find a bunch of Facebook groups with local game developers all in them. So what I did is I joined every single one of them and just kept my ear to the ground about events that were happening so I can go out and meet developers. So I just started going to a ton of game development events, and it was really excited for me, just the prospect of meeting new people, of meeting people who lived very close to me and were making games. Before I discovered the IGDA and just started searching for all these groups, I had no idea that there were people so close to me making games. So I think it's just pretty crazy what you can discover just by running a quick search on something like Facebook, just as I did. Anyway, I made myself a stack of business cards and I just started going to events. Now, I know the idea of talking to new people can be utterly terrifying, but thankfully, it's really not so bad. If you're a little nervous about it, I do have a blog post that talks about how you can conduct yourself at game development events, or really any event that you go to where you meet new people. So I have that linked in the description below. Please give that a read. But the basic thing you're going to want to know is that while you're expected to talk about yourself to some extent, you really want to learn more about the other person that you're having a conversation with. So it's very important for you to learn how to ask questions. Ask questions that will continue a conversation, that will open up to a really great, profound conversation. And that's just one quick tip. There's a lot of ways to get out there and meet people and network, but that's just one way that you're going to start establishing bonds with the members of your local game development community, which is really important. In addition to meeting and talking to people in person at events, it's also important for you to develop a social media presence. What do I mean by this? A lot of game developers are actually on Twitter, so if you've kind of been staying away from using Twitter in the past, it's going to be a very integral part of your development in, this career in game audio. So I would highly recommend that you sign up for Twitter and you talk to the developers who are there. What's great about Twitter is that you can search other members of the game development and the game audio community by using hashtags such as game dev and game audio. And, it's easy. You can reach out and ask questions to people, and usually, people are really chill. I think everyone basically that I've come across has been super chill and willing to answer questions. So, feel free to reach out to people, ask questions. It's how you're going to learn, and it's how you're going to start integrating into the community. I did mention a lot of local events, but if you're in more of an isolated area, you're going to want to rely more on Twitter and some other websites such as IndieDB, TigSource, stuff like that. So you can go check that out as well. I do recommend the local route. That's the route I went through, but again, if you're kind of in a more isolated area, you might want to look into some other things. But yeah, Twitter is going to be very, very important regardless of whether you have a local community or you don't. Until you finally get hired to work on a game, there's something else that you can do in the meantime. Something you can do to build experience working on games and show in your portfolio that not only can you make great audio, but that you understand how to make great audio for games. What could I be talking about? Well, game jams, of course. For those of you who don't know what a game jam is, it's basically an event where you and a team create a game in a short amount of time. Now, that can be an hour, a day, a month, a week, a weekend, whatever the span of time is, the point is always the same. You have this ridiculously short amount of time to make a game. It sounds terrifying, it sounds daunting, it can be a little scary, but it's really a lot of fun, and there's tons of benefits from participating in game jams. How do you find these game jams that are happening right now? Well, fortunately, you can go on a website called indiegamejams.com, and I think you'll be really surprised because you're going to find that there's tons of game jams happening right now. I talk to a lot of aspiring game audio designers, and I tell them about game jams, but then they just tell me that they're just going to wait for Global Game Jam every January. And, while Global Game Jam is amazing, it only happens once a year. So if you're nowhere near January, then why are you going to wait to get this valuable experience? Go on Indie Game Jams and check out which jams are happening and sign up for something. A fantastic game jam to get involved with is called One Game a Month. If you're looking for people to work with, I suggest using the 1GAM hashtag on Twitter. You can use it in your post and say that you make audio and that you're looking to join a team. Likewise, you can look up that hashtag and see if anybody needs an audio designer for their game. Whatever you do, just try to find a team to join and get to work. To be honest, most game jams that I've gone to in the past have very, very few audio people at them, so I often have to join more than one team. Therefore, I think you shouldn't have too much difficulty finding a game to work on. Now, if you have no idea what you're going to do at a game jam, don't worry. I have a blog post about how game jams work and what you as an audio designer should expect. So find that linked in the description below and check that out, and that's going to help you out a lot with this. I previously mentioned the benefits to participating in game jams. What are these benefits? To me, there are 3 extremely valuable things you get out of participating in a game jam. Number 1 is that you get the really, really valuable experience of actually working on a game. You begin to understand what the game development process is like. You learn what every member of the game development team does, the programmer, the artist, what everybody has to do in order to work together. And you begin to understand how your audio fits into that. You just understand the game development process so much better, so that prepares you for having to work on a title of a bigger scope. Number two is that you get something you can legitimately add to your portfolio. You can show developers looking to hire you that, yes, you have worked on a game and you do understand the game development process and you do understand how audio should function in your game. So that's a great experience. And number three, what I think is the most valuable thing of all is that you connect with people. You find people that you can work with. Now, after you complete a Game Jam game, there's nothing that says that you can't continue to work on that game, that you can't continue to work with that team. So, there's been a lot of Game Jam games, Mushroom 11 being a big example of this, that have been continually developed after the jam was over. So that's something that can happen. And, whether you work on your Game Jam game or something else, you have bonded with a team of people that you can continually work with. So that's just fantastic. Getting work in game audio is all about connections, and through doing game jams, you make those connections. Thanks for watching. Hopefully this video gives you a little push in the right direction so you can get started on your career in game audio. So you can check me out online. I have a website, acmenezmusic.com. I'm also on Twitter at acmenez. In addition to that, you can find me on SoundCloud and Bandcamp. Thanks again for watching. Feel free to ask questions if there's anything else you want to learn about. I would be happy to answer it. And I'm looking forward to making more videos like this. This was really a lot of fun to make. Took a little trial and error, but here I am, got this video up, so it's great. Thanks again for watching, and see you soon.